And just to talk a bit about some of the primary kind of, or the focus on the trials, we're obviously looking at battery management, drivetrain, duty cycles, but other areas of interest, and I suppose it's around passenger comfort and the experience, or the travelling experience for the passenger, is the build quality, production methods in terms of introducing lightweight strategies, reducing seat weights to increase passenger capacity, for example, even alloy wheels on our inductive charge use projects, for example, and getting feedback from both the driver and engineering staff to understand where improvements can be made and what differences, or basically what improvements can be made. We're also looking at operational and service information like battery charging technology, drivetrain, and just looking at performance of how the vehicles are performing across those key areas like I've mentioned. We've also got four routes with 4 different charging cycles or strategies, which has been good for our own experience and learning, if you want, over the last couple of years. There's a lot of information been talked about this morning already on charge infrastructure. And quite interesting, to date, I haven't received any negative feedback from passengers, so that's good news as a starter. Recently, we've introduced some performance data loggers on 5 of the buses, just to underpin, enhance whatever the performance data we're getting from the vehicles on a day-to-day basis. We're looking at so to measure bus performance in real-world conditions. That's been mentioned today, and that's given us quite a lot of useful data and information in terms of durability, reliability, again, passenger feedback, driver engineering feedback. We need to understand the scalability and wider use of the electric bus on other routes, how we can scout it out, and what are challenges face us in that part of the journey, excuse the pun. Understand scalability for wireless charging. So like at Bristol, we have 3 inductive charged Zeus buses operating on Route 69, which is Canning Town to Walthamstow, 2 ground charging locations at each end of the route. The necessary tools to inform strategy going forward in terms of procurement, methodology and framework agreements. And of course, the important thing here is around about sustainability, I should say, of the charge infrastructure. We took delivery of our first 2 BYD buses back in December 2013. Further, a couple of years later, or a year later, I say, was introduced by 4 Metro City buses in 2014. Another 2 buses for Irizar in 2014, with another 7 going into operation in 2015. 2 Irizar buses was introduced to the operational fleet in 2015. And as I said, later on this year, we've got a total of 51 new Enviro 200 buses coming in the fleet. So hold on, 51, 17 and 5. What's that in total? 78. How many? 78. 78, is it? Around about, okay. Thank you. So just to give you, this is just a snapshot of some performance data. As I said, we're second to the trial around the battery performance and battery chemistry and so on. We're looking at just testing some data loggers, for example. So as I said earlier, we've got 5 data loggers fitted on 5 vehicles. So can I test this? That's it. Yeah, get my aim. So here we've got the consumption. And if we've got October 2016, September 2016 consumption. If I can start with October. Consumption there is, on this side, is 2 kilowatts. So the BYD buses, double-deck buses, for example, roughly, on average, achieved 2 kilowatts per mile, 2 kilowatt hour per mile. And the range on this side was, I don't know, about 1,200 miles. So so left is the overall consumption. If we take one of the, say, EMC consumption, which is a Metro, an Optare Metro City, that'd be there. It's way down to under a kilowatt hour per mile, so that's pretty good performance. And if you look at the mileage achieved, 2,500 miles for the month of October. What we've seen with the Optare, for example, is that on the 312 route over in Croydon, Optare have introduced a software upgrade which has produced a better performance on battery. What we're looking to do is introduce those upgrades onto the rest of the Metro City or Optare Metro City fleet to again improve better range and better performance of the battery technology. Down here, as I mentioned earlier about the different charging strategies, just to give you an idea of some of the charging patterns, if you want, for the 3 different routes. So this green one here is quite a good one. I haven't put which route they belong to, just to give you an idea of how the different charging strategies and what we're learning from these different charging strategies. So actually, I will tell you. So the green is the BYD double deck, and that's kind of pretty much flat in comparison to these Optare charging strategies. So the BYD, for example, goes out, is charged overnight to 100%, goes out and does around about 80 to 90 miles on a single charge. The Optare Metro Cities are charged overnight, and then around about 50 miles or so come back in for a top-up charge during the afternoon. So that represents that. So onto the Zeus project. As I said, the vehicle operates from Walthamstow to Canning Town. We've got the charge plates in the ground, 100 kilowatt chargers, divided by two coils there. There's 2 coils, 2 50-watt coils, same on the bus. I suppose one of the challenges for this project for the manufacturers is repackaging a standard double-deck bus to accommodate the various or the additional equipment like the coils, the transponders, all the different larger batteries, and still maintain a good passenger capacity. So that was one of the challenges for the manufacturer. So here we've got, just to get, say, a brief oversight, we've got in June the miles, and this is across all 3 vehicles incidentally, average miles, so it's about 7,000 miles across the 3 vehicles. You can see that miles actually dips down to September, and this is due to a number of different reasons. One, the vehicle's running to and from Guildford for additional software upgrades and reworks, that sort of stuff. Unfortunately, we had some collision damage issues with one of the buses, so that represents the dip in the miles there. But the positive, there was 2 positive things here. One, the operational miles, that's the grey line, is now, so it took a dip there in July, I should say, and that's coming back up and it's consistent with the operational miles. So that tells us that in terms of operational, vehicles are performing extremely well. They're at around about 87% availability, which is good news again. It was difficult initially, but we're now, the whole project is settling down and producing good results. We're operating in around about 57 or going towards 60% in EV mode. Our target is 80% EV mode. So we're not far off. There's more information to tell you about those figures in a sec on the next slide. This is a report that TRL does for us each month, just to give us an idea. So starting with the top here, we've got total, that's the total miles the vehicle runs, and we've got operational miles here. And as mentioned in the previous slide, we're around about 50% EV mode. Our target, as I said, in terms of the deliverables for the project is 80% in EV mode. We don't have any overnight charging at the moment, so that makes these figures even more impressive. So we're missing quite a large component of the charge infrastructure, but yet we are still achieving 57. So once we get those overnight charges in place, and the vehicle then can start the day on 100% as opposed to 26%, we're expecting good things for those figures. We've got a consumption per mile, and that's just to give us some indication what the vehicle's doing. So the EV mode is 2.4 kilowatt hour. That's what it operates in hybrid mode. That's a combined figure. So when the geofencing is in operation to force the vehicle, change the behaviour of the vehicle to EV mode, diesel mode, that's a figure represented there. And we use several Euro 4 with CRTs as a benchmark, some benchmark data for that figure there. These consumption per mile figures are fairly constant because the whole route is fixed. So the geofencing operates at both ends of the route, for example. So it just makes that those figures are fairly static, shall we say. Talking previously about driver and the impacts or effects of drivers and how the drivers are responding to this technology. This gives us an idea of what each driver is achieving for the kilowatt when the vehicle's on charge, for example, how the vehicle's responding for each driver in EV mode, and that's the hybrid figures there. And we've got some over for the month of September. We've got some overall figures here. So charge time is approximately 7, 9 or 10 minutes. Same for there. What we had some initial problems or difficult or challenges, I say, with Canning Town. One, because it was sited very close to the DLR railway. So in terms of additional assurances for EMC, EMF, stray fields, we had to demonstrate some additional assurances that our technology will not interfere with the trafficking and the lighting systems for the DLR. Charge infrastructure operational, so it's basically the part of the whole trials, the electric vehicles, is how the whole thing's to be costed and what are parts of different, what's been mentioned previously before, basically. The opportunity charging during the day. Do we, as I think Mark mentioned, do we have overnight charging? Do we have a mixture of overnight charging and on-street charging? So that work is being done in TfL as we speak. To understand the power supplies and upgrades required. Smart charging, that's got to be the way, I suppose, the next level of trial, I should say, how that's going to work for us, particularly on larger charging structures like Go Ahead. Space requirements on some of the old garages, for example. We need to understand how we can fit additional charge infrastructure in, whether it's be pantograph, gantries, and Mark mentioned the overnight, the underground elliptic. Regulatory framework. Part of our work is to look at the bus standards, TfL bus specification, to facilitate, accommodate all the additional equipment that's required to develop EV technology, whether it's conductive charging or pantograph. Planning consent has been a big issue for us around the Zeus project. The distribution and DNOs, again, there's been lots of dialogue with DNOs to understand how they can be part of the whole structure of the regulatory framework. And again, I mentioned the EMC, EMF standards to meet rail standards requirements. So standardisation, again, it's been mentioned previously, developing the bus specification to accommodate additional equipment for EV or conductive or pantograph technology, common standards. And so all these parties, we obviously need to work together and to move the whole EV forward. Future-proof and charge infrastructure again. So coming down to this point here about interoperability, there's no point in having different charging systems, different charging protocols, CCS or CHAdeMO or a BYD communication protocol. It's about having the ability to move the buses around, move the buses around to different operators as and when, and developing standard framework agreements. So this is all, firmly put in place so we can move the whole program forward. That's it.